Hey everyone, I'm Nicole.
And I'm Gabrielle.
And we are the hosts of the Spiritual Sisters podcast.
Join us every week as we discuss all the spiritual topics like astrology, mediumship, psychic insights, and so much more.
We are often joined by others we have met along our spiritual journey who are well versed in many of these areas.
Get ready for enlightening discussions and interviews and personal experiences that we hope will expand your mind and get you thinking outside of the box.
Whether you're a seasoned spiritual seeker or just beginning your spiritual journey, there's something here for everyone.
Check us out every Tuesday wherever you get your podcasts. See you then.
Bye!
Hi, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Soul Ecosystem Podcast. I'm your host, Anna Rising, and on this podcast, we discuss all things soul contracts. I'm a professional soul contract reader, and I work with a modality that combines Jewish mysticism, astrology, tarot, and numerology to calculate what you incarnated here to do. As promised, we're going to be looking at two people from the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, Jessi Draper and her ex-hubby, Jordan. We're going to dive into their individual soul contracts first, and then I want to take a look at their love and compatibility charts to get a sense, get an understanding of what is happening there. So without further ado, let's go into Jessi's first because she is a powerhouse. It is no surprise that she is as successful as she is because she has warrior energy all over her chart. She was meant to be in constant movement, meant to be succeeding, meant to be a boss babe. We can tell that by looking at her primary numbers, the 7 being her soul's essence and the 5 being her astral essence. And when we take a look at the 7 energy, that is the energy of the conqueror. This is a number of significant force and activity. This person is always on the move. 7s are the type of people to never be sitting down. It's almost like they're the type of person that at 9 p.m. they'll finally sit down and either have some tea or take a break, and they're going to be like, oh my god, this is the first time I sat down all day. That's how on the go they are all the time. They don't rest, they don't quit, they have an abundance of energy, a surplus of it, and that just refuels for them every morning. They are awake and just ready to go like Energizer bunnies. They're also known for their optimism as well as their energy. And that may be why they have so much of it, because they're always looking at the bright side, always trying to figure out how to get themselves out of whatever they may find themselves in, instead of kind of just wallowing and pitying themselves. These are not people that do self-pity. I'm actually hearing that live fast, die young, bad girls do it. Well, that song right now, because they are meant to always be on the move. They might really like driving or traveling. They might find it relaxing because of the movement, because that is their natural state of being in a state of movement, constant movement. So I think it's because of this that Jessi has found so much success, because she knows how to work. She knows how to work hard and move towards her dreams. The bad side to this is that they tend to be workaholics. They tend to not know when to quit. They tend to not know when it's time to take a break, take a pause, take a vacation. They're like, what is a vacation even? I don't understand. This is where we are going to go into what 7s look like in misalignment. So, like I said, they are in constant movement. They do not have time to feel sorry for themselves. They are very, very tough. Warrior energy. And all of that toughness and all of that warriorness comes out through the demand that they have of themselves. They also have that demand of people. Now, not everybody has as much energy as the 7. So when the 7 shows up and starts bossing people around, starts being like, okay, why isn't this done yet? Why isn't this done yet? I could have done this and this and this and this, and it would still be 9 o'clock in the morning. Why is this still not finished? This can be very difficult for people that like to go at their own pace, that have a system, that are much slower than number 7s, and they could feel like the 7 is being authoritarian, that it's giving off dictator energy. So 7s have to be really, really careful how they ask people to do things, how they delegate, because it might come off super harsh. Now, While this 7 energy is definitely what propelled her into success, the 5 energy I feel like also should get credit for that, because the 5 is all about organization and structure. 5s love structure. They love charts. They love Excel sheets. They can get super, super organized to the point of like, okay, this is too much organization, too many lists. For number 5s, family is also very, very important. I feel like in this whole divorce fiasco, I know they just filed for divorce, her and Jordan. I feel like family is going to be a very sensitive topic because this is Jessi's sore point. More than anything, that 5 in her chart tells me that she wanted to have a fulfilling family life. She wanted to have a supportive family. She wanted to be the soccer mom. You know, maybe she didn't want to be a housewife per se, but family was always her priority. And I have a feeling that because of how insane and dirty Jordan has already played, that it's going to be a very, very significant sore spot for Jessi, because I have a feeling Jordan knows exactly how much she values family above all, and that he might use that to his advantage. Now, as far as past life karmic debts go, Jessi's is pretty uncommon. Jessi's karmic debt is the debt of unrequited love. In her previous life, there may have been a situation where she wasn't met with the same energy in a relationship. Maybe she fell in love with somebody and they just did not feel the same, but because she was so in love with them and so desperate to be with them, she could have resorted to certain manipulative tactics. And this doesn't necessarily always mean like black magic, love potions, love spells. It could be something that's much more practical, like going and asking your powerful father to set you up with this and this guy. Or, and I don't know why a Bible story just popped into my head, like in the case of David, when he sent this one woman's husband off to the front so that he would get murdered there, so that then she'd be a widow and he can go and marry her up. It's those kind of vibes. It's those kind of vibes. How does this manifest in her current incarnation? So in this life, because she has this karmic debt where there was unrequited love and she tried to force marriage or force love in some way, in this incarnation, usually we are going to see that the person that has this kind of karmic debt does not get enough attention from their family growing up. They were likely raised by their grandmothers or even nannies, or maybe one of their parents or both of their parents often traveled for work and wasn't home a lot. So for somebody with this karmic debt, physical touch is really important. Even like, and I'm not talking just like sexual intercourse, I'm talking like hugs, any kind of affirmation with a touch, like pat on the back, is really very important. They want to be able to come home from a long day's work, hug their partner, calm down, and kind of like cuddle with them on the couch. Now here's where karma kind of catches up with her, because she is going to experience in this incarnation, if she hasn't already, there are going to be problems with romantic relationships. In romantic relationships, no matter how hard either party may try, it could always feel like there's something in the way of them feeling super connected, super close, whether it is a child, whether it is during pregnancy. One of the partners is going to feel like the other just doesn't pay enough attention to them. And this, as soon as they feel like they aren't being paid enough attention to, there's likely going to be affairs, either on one of the sides or both of the sides. And spoiler alert for those of you that haven't seen the latest season of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, we know that Jessi admits to an emotional affair with Mariano. And okay, now I'm going to do another spoiler. If you guys haven't seen the Call Her Daddy episode with Jessi Draper on it as a guest, where she talks about how, okay, Jordan came on the show and tried to make me feel guilty for having an emotional affair, when all this time I've been keeping a secret for him. I have been hiding his affairs, the fact that while he was traveling, he was using escort services, and then that escort service reached out to me and they're like, hey, I watched your show, like, we know who you are, your husband is using escort services. So this checks out with the karmic debt. So we have one partner that has strayed in the marriage, and now Jessi's confessing to this emotional affair, but there's already been an affair and they decided to stay together. It's also very interesting that the thing with Mariano happened like a year ago, and when Jessi was talking to Jordan about getting a divorce, they were going to say that it was irreconcilable differences, but when Jordan filed for it, as soon as Jessi said she would, he stated that was because she had an affair. When that was like a year ago, and they were trying to move past it, and they were going to therapy and everything, they were going to try to deal with it. So I found that incredibly interesting. But yeah, in this incarnation, you can see that same level of desperation of trying really hard to make a romantic partnership work, but now they're seeing what it's like when that partner doesn't lose their choice, doesn't lose their sense of free will, and the worst thing that they could have imagined happening happens. Their partner strays in the relationship. So Jessi is forced to kind of experience that. And when these kind of situations start playing out where there's affairs in their relationship, with this karmic debt, it literally says that the partner will immediately start to look for a new partner, rush from one to another, and make a choice that they later regret. And then they would become a victim of their choice, a victim of their own actions. And that definitely checks out with everything that happened with Marciano and how that played out. Now, I just took a look at Jessi's subconscious programs. And for those of you that are not familiar with subconscious programs in soul contracts, subconscious programs are the thought patterns, beliefs, or lessons you agreed to incarnate to experience in this incarnation. And I saw a couple that were like, okay, that might be interesting. One of which is the Fairy World Writer-Director program, which essentially means that Jessi has a natural talent for writing. And I would not be surprised if after all of this, she wrote her own book. And if it just flew off the shelves, like was insanely popular. And if you guys see tiny like ears over here, it's just my dog. She has separation anxiety, so she has to like sit on my lap all the time. Anyway, her approach to life in her soul contract is very telling. And I'm going to read you guys a couple of the like symptoms of this approach playing out currently, because sometimes in soul contracts, there's going to be like lessons popping up that the person may have already learned, already been through, so it's not manifesting currently in the 3D. But the approach to life is usually how it's like usually the gut instinct of a person, like their gut reaction whenever something happens, it's immediately to go to this until they heal. And the one that Jessi has is a strategy of devaluation. So she makes decisions from a place where she feels like she doesn't have love. So she's going to be manifesting situations in her incarnation where she's constantly receiving like proof of her inadequacy or her unworthiness, and she's always being disappointed. How does this play out? Signs that this is playing out is if she feels unloved by her parents, if she has unrequited feelings, dependent relationships, emotional mood swings, problems with her heart, a fixation on private life, having bouts of depression, being a victim of an abusive relationship, a willingness to always sacrifice her wants, her needs, herself, cheating, jealousy, loneliness and feeling empty, and fear of losing her partner. Now, some things that I love in Jessi's soul contract is that she's really, really a caring person. She knows how to support people. She knows how to support her friends, be there for her friends. She specifically has a program where it says that like they can take on like difficult situations, difficult responsibilities in order to get out of a crisis situation or help out a friend or a relative or somebody who cannot handle the crisis. And she's the type of person to put her heart and soul into whatever it is she does when she helps out, and do so unselfishly. So she knows how to support, she knows how to be a pillar of strength for people in their most dire need. And she knows how to inspire others and motivate them to go for what they want, to get what they want. She's also very smart. She has some intelligence programs in here. There are a couple of programs that kind of speak to her stubbornness and being a little bit bullheaded. But as far as soul contracts go, she is just super equipped to be the kind of phenomenal boss lady that she is. She is all set up for it. She's got the numbers for it. It's no surprise that she has managed to make a successful business all on her own. When it comes to Jordan's soul contract, let's start with the primary numbers that we see. For him, we see the numbers 10 and 14 manifesting as his primary numbers. And 10 usually is a very good number to have. 10 is the number of luck, and it means that a person just regularly experiences bouts of luck and opportunities fall into his lap. But the 14, what can we say about the 14? So the 14s are usually very creative, usually very like artsy people. They appreciate beauty, they appreciate aesthetics. But in the negative, 14s can get a little weird. And when I say a little weird, let me just give you the vibe. Let me paint you the picture of a 14 in misalignment. I think it's safe to say that Jordan is operating in misalignment just based on how he's been dealing with Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, the whole situations with Dad-tok, the whole situation with Marciano, and now what we have learned about him running to file for divorce first because he didn't want Jessi to do it first. I think it's just safe to say. On that note, a very well-known 14 is Donald Trump. And when you have a 14 in misalignment, we have somebody that can get very paranoid, somebody that can start to feel like people are just after them, somebody that's going to be very suspicious of others, always questioning their intentions, always questioning their motives, and it's likely because they have secret motives. Whenever somebody is just like super suspicious of what it is that you're up to, like out of nowhere, they might be telling on themselves. They might be ratting on themselves that they're up to something, and now they think that everybody's in that same mentality, thinks like them, always trying to one-up somebody. So ways that you can spot a misaligned 14 is that they become very resentful, suspicious, withdrawn, and start to have mood swings where there's often a lack of moderation in regards to food, possibly alcohol, possibly drugs, or in Jordan's case, we can assume escorts. 14s are prone to have bad habits like not being able to moderate correctly or even have addictions in certain cases, in extreme cases. They have a very hard time letting go of things. They have a hard time forgiving. And they hold grudges a lot. And their biggest like sore point, their biggest like wound is their insecurity in themselves and the fact that they don't believe in themselves, that they don't believe that they could be successful on their own, which I feel like is a very, very sore subject for Jordan in general based on his wife's success. I think that's why he's trying so hard to make Dad-tok happen, because he's like, I need to prove this to myself. I need to prove that I can be successful on my own, that I don't need to be living off my wife's money, and like just I feel like that's where all of that energy is coming from with his push to make Dad-tok happen. I think eventually we are going to see Jordan kind of like seclude and start hiding away, because that's what he naturally does in a state of misalignment. That's what 14s do. They withdraw more into themselves because, again, the paranoia, the feeling suspicious of everyone and not being able to fully trust someone. I have a feeling this might have been a problem in their marriage as well. Like, he might have been the type to always check phones. And that reminds me, again, another spoiler alert, that Jessi in her Call Her Daddy episode said that he created a fake Instagram account, then messaged Jessi and was trying to extort her somehow with the screenshots of the messages that he sent under a fake profile. Like, guys, that's the 14 energy. It's a little bit psychotic, a little bit psychotic. Now, while that 10 energy is I feel like that's what's giving him his like 5 seconds in the spotlight or whatever. That 10 energy in misalignment is telling us that eventually he's going to, and I feel like he already has, a falling from grace. He's going to start feeling like his superpower of always just manifesting things easily, manifesting opportunities easily, it's going to start to dwindle. The harder he tries to make Dad-tok happen, the harder he tries to get onto Harry Jowsey's podcast and get all of these opportunities opening for him, the more it's not going to work. Because 10s, the reason they become so lucky, the reason that they have this like magic, like attraction of luck to them, is because they do so from a place of curiosity, from a place of non-attachment. And the more attached you are to a certain outcome, the less it's going to happen for 10s. So I'm sorry if I'm smiling, but like I'm really happy that this guy is not going to be able to get more fame. Although who knows? There's like things like the manosphere is just like blowing up. So maybe he's just going to be able to find the right audience and then it's just going to take off for him. But hopefully we're not going to promote this kind of behavior. All right, so Jordan's past life karmic debt is showing us a little bit of the energy behind who Jordan is as a person, because from a past life, he still has memories. He remembers being from a very powerful family. In this incarnation, this karmic debt manifests as him being born into a family that has broken ties. So either there was a death in the family or a separation, either the parents got divorced or something happened that split the family apart. When that happens in the family, there's going to be somebody that is like the black sheep that is going to kind of stand out and be like, okay, guys, we need to stop doing this. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a religious thing. If he hasn't left the Mormon church, I wouldn't be surprised if there's somebody in his family that left the Mormon church and was like, okay, we're not going to be a part of this. I'm not going to continue to go to church and then take my family to church. So there's somebody in Jordan's family that did that. If it isn't Jordan, there's somebody in his family that did that and is likely being like, I'm not going to raise my kids Mormon. I'm going to cut off all ties with my Mormon parents or Mormon family, and we're not going to do this anymore because this is toxic. And that might create a divide in his family to the point where he either cuts contact off with the person that did the leaving of the family, or he's the one that's leaving the traditions or leaving the established rules in the family. So either he's breaking away or somebody in his family is breaking away, and that creates this disconnect where, again, they have the situation that happened in the past life where even though he was from a powerful family, he ended up completely kind of separating himself from them and going his own way. Now he's in a similar situation where he might be cutting off family. He might be running away from family. And the more he tries to either not get help from them, disassociate from them, or like just completely reject them, the more he is going to face certain situations and conflicts where he's going to have to call his family up and ask for help. And this karmic debt is to teach people that just because you don't agree with your family doesn't mean you have to cut them off. It doesn't mean that they're horrible people, that you should always try to love your family unconditionally and accept them as they are. I do not mean this in like a you have to stay in contact with your toxic relatives, not at all, but where you can, it's important to still accept your loved ones and try to maintain contact with them. So as far as karmic debts go, it's not like absolutely horrible, but let's go into his programs. Let's go into his subconscious programs because they are telling a pretty interesting story. If you guys haven't seen my episode on Dakota and Taylor's soul contracts. I talk about Dakota having the actor program, and that essentially means that you're really good at picking up on social cues and picking up on little things people do and using that to lie, manipulate, or act. In alignment, this makes for a very good Oscar level worthy actor. In misalignment, this is a person that is very manipulative. I kid you not, both Dakota and Jordan have this in their soul contracts. I'm going to read it word for word because I'm flabbergasted right now. One of the problems they can encounter when in a misalignment because of this actor program is that they could attempt to copy existing technologies, believing that they can benefit from pre-existing ideas. Going to the point of disparaging the work of others, they offer a shallow imitation of said technology which fails to capture the essence of what it is that they were copying and does not yield any profit from it. Okay, this is the best news I have heard all week because the way I've been so invested in the whole Taylor drama and the whole Dakota drama, and a lot of it is my own personal triggers, my own personal story popping up, but I've been so invested because I'm like, I feel like Jordan and Dakota are getting away with murder right now, but I absolutely love that this is popping up in their soul contracts because it's saying that Dad-tok is not going to happen. This is why everyone's so resistant to Dad-tok and why everyone's like, stop trying to make Dad-tok happen. It's not going to happen. It's literally in their soul contracts for this not to work when they're in misalignment because they're just doing a shallow imitation of what mom talk is. And if you guys saw the recent season of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, you guys are gonna know. I mean, that's all I'm gonna say about it. That's all I'm gonna say. Maybe I should. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say about it. I love that this is so on brand for both Dakota and Jordan because I love that they're the biggest pushers of Dad-tok, and it feels like they've just rallied up everybody else to jump on this bandwagon. And it just hasn't been working for them. And I love that it's not going to work for them. Jordan also has a program running for him where it's very difficult for him to embrace change. So this program manifests in misalignment as somebody that cannot let go of material things and of relationships. So I have a feeling that their divorce is going to be super high conflict. I have a feeling Dad-tok is not going to land exactly how Jordan expected Dad-tok to land, and he is going to take it out on Jessi. He is going to take it out on Jessi and drag her through the mud, put her through the ringer in order to make himself feel a little less small. All right, so on top of the fact that Jordan has that 14 number, which means that he has a high likelihood of not using things in moderation like he's supposed to, he also has the binge program. And that is not good because people with the binge program are even more so susceptible to addictions and to not know how to use things in moderation. Then in his soul contract, we see him stumble. Now another thing, okay, we have another thing to talk about in his soul contract. He has a mother wound. And I wonder how this is manifesting in his family life because it seems like something's going on with his family. Something weird is happening with his family, and I have a feeling that it's stemming from the mom. And I have a feeling that it's because of that Jessi has had a hard time in their relationship. I have a feeling that there's something that just happened with Jordan's mom that he is now punishing Jessi for. Maybe his mom was super overbearing. Maybe this is like somebody that just got too attached to their mom and now expects their partner to be their mom. Let's take a look. So in misalignment, okay. The mother wound essentially means you're sexist, but I don't think that's a shocker. I don't think that the Mormon religion is really accepting of women or treats them equally. But then again, there's not a lot of religions that do. So in misalignment, the mother wound manifests as Jordan having a very sexist attitude towards women, not accepting them as equals. And this could manifest as him not trusting his wife. Ahem, ahem. Can we talk about how he created a fake profile and then tried to blackmail her with it? It's also in this program, it says that his partner is going to cheat on him. So this predicts his emotional affair. Sorry, this predicts Jessi's emotional affair with Marciano. Although I'm gonna say I don't believe that it was just emotional. I love Jessi, but I don't think it was just emotional. But yeah, there's a mother wound there. And I feel like this is why Jessi's just had such a rough time with this relationship. They were only married for 5 years, guys. They were only married for 5 years. And I think she mentioned after the first year in the show, at some point, she's like, I want out. And that it just didn't happen for some reason. I don't remember why. Now, let's take a look at their love and compatibility chart. Because there's a way to know when a couple is like a soulmate connection. Certain numbers pop up, and it's no surprise this is not a soulmate connection. They literally met in order to help each other with their self-control issues, with their proneness to addiction. I feel like for Jessi, this does manifest as this like need for validation, need for attention. Whereas for Jordan, this manifests on a whole other level with lots of vices. We're talking escorts. He might have, I don't know if Jordan had a drinking problem. I wouldn't be surprised if Jordan has a drinking problem or just some kind of other addiction, but they were brought together specifically to help them learn how to heal that part in themselves that feels like they need to resort to vices in order to feel whole, in order to feel fulfilled. Now, when they don't fulfill what they were brought together to do, negative karma starts kicking in, and that manifests differently for everybody, but specifically for them, according to their numerology, it manifests as the relationship becoming superficial. It feels like communication is just small talk, and like both of them try to buy each other off with expensive gifts. It feels like the communication between them, or lack thereof, is being compensated by meeting up with friends all the time. What does that sound like, guys? Like, doesn't that sound like filming for Secret Lives of Mormon Wives? It also says that cheating is possible. So again, that is both in their soul contracts and in their compatibility chart. Another thing that can happen for them with the energy of the number 17 is that there's no like checking in on each other. There's no connection. There's no vulnerability happening because they hide their true feelings and their anxieties from each other because they want to play the role of the ideal couple. And I feel like we saw this a little bit in the first 2 seasons, perhaps, of the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. They tried to keep everything together, but over time, and this literally says this in their love and compatibility chart, secrets start to come out, and the partners start to humiliate each other, express accumulated negativity, and become ashamed of each other. So it definitely feels like Jordan was the one that was trying to do the humiliating because he didn't want to be humiliated. He didn't want to feel like, oh, my wife is leaving me, so I gotta go and leave her first. And then the thing that happened with the Call Her Daddy podcast where Jessi's like, okay, hold on a minute. You're not going to make me feel bad about the whole Marciano situation when you've been getting escorts like since the beginning of our marriage. Then we see the number 11 coming in. 11, when we're talking negative karma, is the number of aggression. Likely start to try to manipulate each other. And it's not like both of them. I'm not saying that both of them are doing that. I'm saying that there's going to be some like energies of manipulation. One of them is going to be trying to manipulate the other. And they may start to rally up their friends to form like alliances against the other. And then we have them seeking out work, them like going to work, focusing on work in order to not address the problems within the relationship, which definitely sounds like a Jessi thing to do. And that is the negative karma that's popping up for them in their love and compatibility chart. Again, this is definitely not a soulmate connection. They weren't destined to be together. They were brought together to learn a very specific lesson. And it sounds like it's stemming from Jordan's addictive personality, where he's prone to trying to resort to vices in order to make himself feel better. If they were both operating in alignment, they could have a successful relationship, a successful marriage. But again, a successful marriage isn't just dependent on one person. Both people need to be trying actively to grow, to evolve, to change in order to be in a healthy relationship. If they both put the same amount of effort into this relationship, it could have gone far because they have the energy of the number 21 there. If they were able to make it work, if they were able to look past their differences and be like, okay, like let's heal and go to therapy, they would have led a very fulfilling life, a very successful life, a very successful marriage. But again, it's the addictions part, whether it's addiction to attention, addiction to validation, addiction to actual like addictive things, that was the nail in the coffin for them. And that's what I have for you guys when it comes to their love and compatibility chart. I'm still thrown that their soul contract literally mentions Dad-tok. I am absolutely thrown. I cannot wait to post this. I cannot wait to post this and see what you guys think. But yeah, if you guys wanted to get your own soul contracts done or get a love and compatibility chart, you can go to thesoulecosystem.com to go ahead and purchase one. Otherwise, I'm going to see you guys next time, next Friday, on the Soul Ecosystem. Have a wonderful weekend.